the honest water carrier, and the jealous minister. In a distant and prosperous kingdom, there lived a humble and kind-hearted man named Shankar. He worked as a water carrier, delivering fresh water from the river to the villagers every day. Despite his simple life, Shankar was always cheerful, greeting everyone with a warm smile and kind words. His sincerity and generosity made him beloved by all. One day, stories of Shankar's kindness reached the king's ears. Intrigued, the king sent his minister to summon him to the royal palace. When Shankar arrived, the king spoke warmly, "I have heard of your hard work and kindness. From today, you shall serve in my palace and bring water for me and my guests." Overjoyed, Shankar hurried home to share the news with his wife. He dressed in his finest clothes and returned to the palace, eager to start his new job. Over time, his friendly nature and captivating storytelling won the hearts of the palace guests. Even the king himself enjoyed his presence and often called upon him to share amusing tales. However, not everyone appreciated Shankar's growing favor with the king. The minister, who had once been the king's most trusted aide, became jealous. He resented how a mere water carrier had won the king's admiration and plotted to remove him. One evening, the minister visited Shankar at his home. With a concerned expression, he whispered, "Shankar, I must tell you something important. The king has been troubled by the unpleasant smell of your breath, but he does not wish to embarrass you. If you wish to stay in his good graces, you should wear a mask whenever you are in his presence." Shankar, trusting the minister's words, felt ashamed and agreed to follow his advice. The next day, he arrived at the palace with a mask covering his face. The king noticed but said nothing. Days turned into weeks, and Shankar continued wearing the mask, never doubting the minister's warning. Eventually, the king grew curious and asked the minister, "Why does Shankar always cover his face?" Seizing the opportunity, the minister smirked and replied, "My lord, I asked him the same question. He told me that he wears it because he finds your breath unpleasant." The king's face darkened with anger. Feeling betrayed by someone he had grown so fond of, he immediately issued an order: "Have an executioner wait by the palace gates. The moment a man walks out carrying a bouquet of roses, he is to be executed at once." The next day, as usual, Shankar arrived at the palace and performed his duties with grace. Pleased with his service, the king rewarded him with a beautiful bouquet of roses. Shankar, grateful for the gift, bowed and made his way out of the palace. As he stepped outside, the jealous minister stopped him. "Who gave you these flowers?" he demanded. "The king," Shankar replied cheerfully. "He gave them as a token of appreciation." The minister, unable to contain his arrogance, snatched the bouquet from Shankar's hands. "I deserve this more than you," he sneered, and proudly marched towards the palace gates. The executioner, following the king's orders, saw the man carrying the roses and immediately carried out the punishment. The next morning, Shankar arrived at the palace as usual. The king, expecting never to see him again, was stunned. "Shankar, you are alive?" he exclaimed. "Tell me, why do you always wear that mask in my presence?" Still unaware of the deception, Shankar humbly replied, "My lord, the minister told me that you found my breath unpleasant, so I wore this mask to avoid disturbing you." The king's eyes widened with realization. "And what happened to the bouquet of roses I gave you?" he asked. "The minister took it from me, saying that he deserved it more," Shankar answered innocently. The king burst into laughter. "Indeed, he deserved those roses more than you did," he declared. He then removed Shankar's mask and assured him, "You have always been honest and kind. From today, you will no longer be just a water carrier. You shall be my royal storyteller." This tale reminds us that jealousy and deceit often lead to one's downfall. The minister's own tricks turned against him, while Shankar's honesty and patience earned him a place of honor. No matter how difficult life may seem, staying true to one's values always leads to justice and reward.